Hey folks, and welcome back after a brief hiatus with Griz Tracks. I'm AJ Mazzolini, beat reporter for the Missoulian.
I'm Kyle Sample, a Missoulian sports reporter.
And the Griz are looking to try and stop a losing streak. Trying to stop it at 2 games only after going to Liberty and kind of getting knocked around a little. A pretty ugly game last week out in Virginia, 31-21. And score really doesn't dictate actually how not close that game was. Liberty jumped out to a real big lead, 14-0 and then 17-0. And the Griz just really never got anything going.
Yeah, and really, I mean, they only scored 19 points, right? I mean, they were given 2 points by Liberty at the very end, right? So 2 weeks in a row, then there'll only be 19 points. And like you said, they just didn't ever seem to get on track. A couple big plays, but nothing of substance.
Yeah, interesting. That first week, 38 points against one of the best teams in the country, number 1 team in the country that's got all the national championships in the world. And then the next 2 weeks, only 38 points combined. Yeah. So it's a much different Griz team, week 1 versus week 2, 3, and now we'll see for game 4. And the big story, though, is going to be in the backfield with Brady Gustafson out, a lower leg injury, reports are broken fibula, and he'll be missing a lot of time, which brings Chad Chalich into the fold, the Idaho transfer.
Yeah, and the guy that some people thought was the odds-on favorite to win it back before we saw any of these guys do anything, and now he's gonna be under center with that injury, and hopefully he can maybe work out of the pocket a little bit more than last week. That seemed to be the big issue.
Yeah, he's the only guy that had actually any really college playing experience coming into this year. He started a couple games at Idaho before transferring over, and the reason that Gustafson got the nod over he and McKenna Simmons, basically he had a big brain, he could run through his progressions, and he could make the right decisions, which is something that we saw Chalich not really be able to do in that first game against Liberty. He would see his receiver, if that receiver wasn't open, he'd sort of tuck it down and try and run around with it a little bit, and ran himself into a whole bunch of sacks. Some of that was on the offensive line, some bad snaps. Now, that's going to happen maybe when you're working with a second-string center, but those two things combined, it moved the Griz back a lot and often.
Yeah, and really just killed any chance of a comeback because they seemed to get things going, and then Joey Counts had the fumble at the 1-yard line, and then the sacks seemed to start coming, and they seemed to get further away from the line of scrimmage at points. So.
Right. Gustafson had 132 pass attempts in his 2+ games and was only sacked 3 times. Chalich had 28 in 3 quarters of play, sacked 7 times. So right there is telling enough. And he did have a couple of nice deep balls, so he's got an arm, which kind of was able to just put it up and let some receivers make plays. Jamal Jones with a big 70-yard touchdown. And so that's one thing that Stid likes about him. He also likes his ability to run a little bit, although maybe he relies on it a bit too much. And for this second game for him, his first start at Montana, he's going to have to work on that footwork and work on his decision-making, really.
Yeah, and getting the offensive line of scrimmage quick and the hand signals out, because as we all know, that's what this whole offense is based on, is getting all that information out before the snap.
Right, and this is the homecoming game for the Grizzlies coming up. Northern Arizona coming to town at Washington Grizzly Stadium here in Missoula. And the Griz need a little bit of a momentum swing. Northern Arizona is going to come in, and Jerome Sowers, their head coach, used to be a coach in Montana on the defensive side, and he loves to beat the Griz. And he's going to bring a pretty dynamic offense in as well. They have their own big play receiver, Manuel Butler. He's probably maybe at this point only a sophomore, and still the second best receiver in the Big Sky, maybe behind Cooper Kupp over at Eastern Washington, who's in a league of his own. No disrespect to Jamal Jones, of course, there. But I mean, their passing game pretty dynamic as well.
Yeah, and it's kind of a new thing. I mean, they used to go to the run, and I think they changed their offense because they thought they were going to have a quarterback who left and went to Virginia.
Right.
And now they got this. They got Case Cookus, and he had a strong game the first game against Stephen F. Austin, and then it's been hard to get a read on them because they played at Division II and then got crushed last week at Arizona. So it's hard to get a read on exactly what's going on, but they also have a quarterback situation, right?
That they do. Case Cookus got a little bit hurt last week at Arizona, which, Kyle, you were mentioning. They lost 77-13 in a game they were only trailing 14-13 at one point. So things got really out of hand. He has a bit of an ankle injury. He's kind of questionable for this Saturday, is what Coach Sauer said. And so we might be seeing their backup versus Montana's backup. Kyron Poe is the guy that Northern Arizona will have to go to if Case Cookus, who is a true freshman, can't make the start. But he's been very impressive as just only a freshman, National Freshman of the Year for that Week 1 victory.
Mm-hmm. And Kyron Poe, right? He has starting experience. He started, I think, parts of last season and 2 years ago when he was young. But the offense, like we said, is different. So it'll be interesting to see how how they're able to figure that out if Cookus can't go.
Right, they throw it around a little bit more. They do have a pretty good running back, Casey John, but he missed some time last week with a hamstring injury. Was practicing this week, so maybe we'll see Northern Arizona kind of get back to the grind that they like to do. They do have a 2-game winning streak against the Grizzlies, which is sort of unheard of in the rivalry between these two Big Sky Conference schools. So we'll have to see how things turn out on Saturday, and make sure to keep up to date with all the Grizz news in print and online at Missoulian.com to get you ready for game time. Thanks for tuning in again this week.